Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. So last year, I did my first playthrough of Nier Automata and I recorded it. I'll link to that playlist below. During the playthrough, I talked a little bit about philosophy, but since then I've wanted to do deeper videos on the topic using Nier as a backdrop, and this will be the first. But looking at various articles and videos purporting to talk about philosophy in Nier, I feel the general understanding of what philosophy even is low. So at first, let's cover some basics, some core concepts. I want to talk about whether or not good and evil exist in Nier Automata, but before that, we have to talk about our physical and metaphysical worlds. Our physical world is the one that we can see and touch and measure, and it is our bodies, of course, but also the movements of the body, our emotions and desires. It is capital N, nature, the natural world. The metaphysical world is the world beyond. We cannot see it or touch it or measure it. The way we interact with it is through our minds, with reason or faith or imagination. It is the supernatural world, a non-natural world beyond space and time, beyond our senses. There are schools of philosophy that come at the metaphysical world through religion. There are schools that come at the metaphysical world through science, and there are schools that deny it outright. But returning to nature, there is no good and evil there. There is only survival. There is order and law in a way, but it is only born out of instinct and self-preservation. All of the animals, and even groups of animals, essentially operate as machines, driven by their urges, whether it be hunger, sexual desire, or survival, and using their pre-programmed instincts to react to different situations. Good and evil do not exist in this world. So does that mean good and evil originate only in the metaphysical world? Yes, but not so fast. Good and evil are core concepts in religious thought, and among all the religions of our world, they are most prominent in monotheistic religions. In polytheistic cultures like ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, ancient Norse cultures, and some more modern cultures like Japanese, good and evil are not really forces. There are no entities that perfectly represent one or the other. Loki in Norse mythology is mischievous but not really evil, while Zeus in Greek mythology is not necessarily good either. He does a lot of questionable stuff. Anubis in ancient Egyptian mythology is the god of the underworld, but not particularly evil, and not really doing anything against Ra, the sun god. They're both just doing their job and working together, ultimately, to keep the worlds, plural, running. In monotheistic religions, however, there is the one God, and the one God is perfect and all-powerful and all-knowing, and therefore the total representation of good. Everything that supports or follows that God is also good. That single God may have an adversary, an opposite, and they are the representation of evil. The evil force seeks to corrupt or destroy the works of the good force, and so any acts or thoughts that us humans do in either direction can be called good or evil from that point of view. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings is very influenced by monotheistic Christian thought, and Sauron is evil incarnate there. Many narratives that grew out of Western culture are heavily influenced by monotheistic belief, especially narratives that talk about the battle between good and evil. So, we've established what good and evil are, and how and where they can exist, and now finally we can look at Nier Automata, and the first thing we notice about this world is there are no humans. Can religion work without humans? That might sound counterintuitive. Religion should need gods to work, right? But can gods exist without humans to believe in them? Did the gods disappear in Nier Automata along with the humans? The goddess Athena, who was worshipped under a myriad of names for millennia, is nearly powerless today because the world has moved on to other gods. And so in Nier Automata, without humans, we are left with androids and machines, creations of humans and aliens respectively, and so we have to consider them in thinking if good and evil exist in this world. One of the most explicit references to religion is the cult of machines in the factory, but even non-religious people can tell that what they are doing is shallow and missing the point. Just like everything they try and copy of mankind, they follow the motions, but they do not understand, so they fail. They are animals playing at being human. There is no intent, so good or evil can't exist through them. Next, let's look at the Yorha organization. Is it an allegory for religion, and therefore can good and evil be born from that? Does Yorha have a single figure encapsulating good, making working towards the stated goal of Yorha also be considered good, and thus working against it be considered evil? First, we need a god. Outside of the opening lines read by the to-be voice actress, the only other time gods or a god are referred to by Yorha members is at one point. The humans are referred to as the gods of the androids, but everyone knows they are flawed, not holy or supernatural. They are mortal and of this world. And so, since there is no single god of Yorha, it is not a monotheistic religion, and although humankind are referred to as gods, they are not supernatural in any way, so Yorha is not a polytheistic religion either. It could be non-theistic or simply not a religion at all. It could be considered a nation or a society, meaning good and evil would not figure into it. In the future, I might talk about ethics or politics, but for this video, we'll just focus on good and evil. There is one interesting part of those opening lines, however, and that is the idea of punishment. Punishment would come from that metaphysical world, potentially by a metaphysical being, following some set of metaphysical rules to determine that something deserves punishment. It could be a sign, the only sign in the game, of gods or a god, or it could be 2B searching for the meaning behind her unfortunate situation. But just because she surmises or desires there to be a god doesn't guarantee it's there. I'll talk about this in a future video when I talk about naturalist philosophies. There may be a god that is unnamed and unknowable that we could infer their existence by identifying an adversary figure. The closest to this might be the red girls in the tower, but it/they are not evil. They are not looking to break down what is good in the world. They are only looking to survive, extend their own lifespan by following the rules of survival. They are Machiavellian, which is totally of the natural world, and so totally removed from the dynamic of good and evil. So the game comes across as very pro-human, that they are the idea and ideal worth aiming for, that they are the goal worth pursuing, nothing above that or beyond that, nothing metaphysical. I see this a lot in Japanese pulp culture, a desire by writers of narratives to affirm the value of humankind, that simply to live and be is enough and of worth. There is no particular meaning of life. Simply to be alive and to not give up is the goal of a lot of Japanese narrative. And so, good and evil, as they are understood in monotheistic cultures, do not exist in the world of Nier Automata, and neither do gods nor adversaries. While Lord of the Rings is very influenced by Christian thought, Nier Automata is not, and so does not have an adversary representing evil, seeking to destroy the work of a god that represents good. Nier Automata is a work that comes from a non-theist point of view, a vision of a world without gods, something more in line with Buddhism or a naturalistic philosophy like humanism or existentialism. But that leads me to ask, why do the names Adam and Eve appear in the work then? Is it a red herring or is it something else? That'll be a topic for a future video. Okay, but that will be the first video about philosophy in Nier Automata, kind of laying some groundwork for how we do philosophy, in a sense. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.